Hi, welcome to Rein It In. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt. We're back for our final episode from our road trip from May. We're currently more than halfway through June. Life sort of got in the way once we got back, but we're looping back. You can go back and listen to the first two episodes. We had a planning episode. We had part one that took us up through halfway point, which was, we recorded that in Columbus, Ohio. And then we had part two, which we recorded the first night we were in Roanoke, Virginia. And now we're kind of doing part three / wrap up.
Yep. So it's a whole four-part thing if you want to listen to the whole thing. We were keeping a score sheet as we went through this trip to kind of keep track of various different things since we're attempting to do different kinds of things than we normally do on our trip, like random attractions,
scenic overlooks.
We'll
get to that.
All kinds of things. So, as we said, I think when we were planning the trip, we were doing, the trip was 11 days, and just as a couple of other stats, that's 264 hours.
Well, almost exactly, because we left town at 5 and we got home at like 4:30.
Yeah,
or something
that's
like
true.
that. So it was almost to the hour.
Yeah. We drove 1,673.4 miles.
According to the odometer. We were in other people's cars during that time, but that was only the time we clocked.
Right.
On our nice little Mazda.
And we did 9 states, and Matt's going to walk you through those 9 states.
Okay. So yeah, we started out in Georgia, so we're counting that as a state, even though we didn't do any actual activities in Georgia other than drive. And then we hit Tennessee, stayed overnight in Knoxville, Tennessee. Would definitely go back for a 3-day weekend.
Yeah,
pretty
it's
close
only 3
to
hours.
Us. Yeah. Lexington, Kentucky, also enjoyable. We did Cincinnati, Ohio. We did Columbus, Ohio. We did Morgantown, West Virginia. We didn't sleep there, but we drove into Pennsylvania.
And spent the whole day there at Falling Water. So it was a significant side trip.
Right. And then we did spend the night in Virginia, in Roanoke. And then we also did not sleep over. So for what we were considering for major states, we had to get out and do something. And we had to... We kind of talked about it. This makes pretty consumery. But anyways, also had to consume something other than like getting gas. So we had to like get out and like give something to the local economy or take part in some sort of activity. So North Carolina, we only stopped in Elkin, and we'll get to some of that stuff in a minute here. And then our last night stay was in Greenville, South Carolina.
Also a place that I would go back to, also about 3 hours away from Atlanta. So both of those good weekend trips from Atlanta.
Right. So those are all the like main places we stayed. We did stop at a number of other places in between. One of the things we did, we talked about this in the previous episodes, is we were trying to keep it to like, on average about 4 hours of driving a day. We had one day that was only like an hour and a half.
And one day that was 5.
Right.
Which is, of course, the day that it rained. So it was 5 hours of driving in the rain.
Right. That was fun. Through the mountains.
Of West Virginia.
Yeah. But where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So we made a bunch of other stops. And even for those longer trips, like that 5-hour day, we also really wanted to make sure we weren't just in the car for 5 hours straight. We wanted to make it part of the trip. So during that, we actually stopped at a couple different places, which we talked about in the last ones. We'll hit some of them on the highlights. We're going to go through sort of the scorecard list that we were keeping, and we'll talk about some of the highlights from that as well. Hold on, we got a cat coming up here. Come on, buddy.
Come on. Come sit. You can do it.
Decide those laps.
You can do it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Good job. So, where do we want to go? So we did also, part of this was we were visiting a bunch of friends.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I think we said that when we were talking about planning it, right? Like the reason for the road trip was a couple of friend trips got canceled last year, and rather than try to fly to one place and fly to the other place, especially since those places are about, 5 hours from each other, we just decided that it made more sense to do a road trip.
Yeah. Well, and I'd also say when we were planning this road trip, the restrictions from the CDC in the U.S. here were still pretty strict.
Right, that's true.
People were getting vaccinations because we started planning this in like March and April. And so, or really March. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, March. I got to figure out what the order of my months. I think I got that. I failed at that in elementary school.
That's all right. I still can't determine right from left, so.
That's okay. And then I just second guessed myself. But
so we didn't know if we wanted to fly
when
we started planning this, or if we could.
Well, yeah, we figured we probably could be able to, but yeah, I didn't know. We definitely didn't feel comfortable at the time.
And if it was a irresponsible thing to do, flying, which it seems like now, vaccines are holding up even well enough against the variants that have come through. So we are flying next month to Colorado, and that will be the next podcast likely. So, if you're curious in hearing about a whirlwind trip to Colorado and the building of a tiny house, you can tune in next month.
And we did touch on this a little bit, right? We have our list here in front of us, but I'm going to jump to the last one, which is scenic overlooks. I swear, I remember we drove so much in Colorado when we lived out there, and I remember scenic overlooks being a thing that are in many places.
Yeah.
And, probably also we thought about this, we talked about in the previous podcast about how you have much longer stretches where you're not going to have towns or rest stops. So you need to have something for someone to get out of the car, if something going wrong, right? But I also realized in the mountains, you want to have stopping spots because if people are riding their brakes too hard, you're going to cause problems.
Right.
And so it's a sort of a different geographic and geologic issue you're solving out west.
That's true. Because we had some kind of steep grades in West Virginia, but not the same that you do in the mountains in Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, they were significant. So the only scenic overlook we actually officially made didn't even have a scenic overlook sign. It just happens that it's the newest.
America's newest national park.
Right. And it was an awesome gorge, a nice little walk.
Yep.
So that was fun.
So that's one of the places actually, and one of the things that we can sort of think about or talk about, we said we would go back to Knoxville or Greenville because they're nice weekend trips, but I would love to go back to New Gorge National Park and explore around a little bit more, like maybe get a cabin or something. I mean, it's unfortunately
that's a hell of a haul, though.
It's a really long drive, so I think it would make the most sense to fly into Pittsburgh, spend a little time in Morgantown, go spend a couple nights there, and then leave. Which I realize that's like a whole trip, so it is a whole thing.
Right. So we'll see.
I don't know.
It might be a bit before we get back there.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to happen soon, unless we can talk the girl's birthday weekend into doing a cryptid hunt. But that's a whole separate story.
Right. From this, though, if you're listening to this and you happen to be on the East Coast, you're looking to take a road trip, or you're maybe going to be in that area, it was well worth stopping. In fact, I only knew about this because one of my friends at work mentioned that it was there, and he didn't even know it was a new national park, but he was like, oh, I've been wanting to go to this bridge and check this out.
Yeah, if I would have known that it existed, I probably would have stayed one night there and one night in Roanoke, figured out somewhere to stay and done a little bit more walking around and stuff, and that would have broken up the drive a little better too.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you would have known more what it was, right?
Right. I just didn't even know it existed at all until we were on our trip.
But you knew during the road trip that we were going to stop at this bridge, because I was saying I want to stop at this bridge.
But I didn't know the bridge also involved a national park.
Oh,
I thought it was just
a big bridge.
It's a bridge. And
Over
I was like, gorge. Cool.
Yeah.
I like bridges.
True.
So I didn't do the research to realize that it was anything more than
I didn't realize it was a national park either.
Yeah.
I just knew it was a big park. I didn't know what the delineation was, but on the map it's a big green chunk that said something. Right. That I obviously didn't read that close. But
so anyway, I mean, and that's in terms of reasonable places for us to go back to, obviously the two places that are 3-hour drives, super easy.
Yeah.
That one is got to be 10 hours, right?
Okay.
So that's
I'll say this too, right? So we'll hopefully get back to Morgantown because we have a number of friends who live there, and it was a nice little town. You already commented on going back to Greenville. You had said to my dad that Greenville's of the places we went, the one you'd be most likely to move to if you had your
definitely.
druthers.
And that was a surprise. Before this trip, I would have probably said Columbus because I do like Columbus. It's a nice sort of comfortable city, easy to get around. It's nice and flat, so you can really walk. I like cities that are good for walking, but yeah, I was really surprised by Greenville, and it definitely was the place that felt the most livable to me.
There was just so much energy there too. You commented on like the first night we were out, we got dinner, and there were a lot of people out on, which is a little bit weird in COVID times.
COVID, yeah.
But we still had our masks on that we would put on and off depending on how many people were around us. But there were like people playing music on street corners. There were just people out
and
having
people
a good
dancing
time.
To the music, not just like hustling by it, right?
Do you think they would have done that 2 years ago?
Yes, I think so, because like there was all kinds of signage and stuff about it. Like I think that's probably a thing that area or street is known for.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just that there were people out there like busking for money, but people that were like gathering around and dancing and having a good time with
just these little free outdoor concerts, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, that first night, everybody is, as I said, also to your dad, like everyone was literally dancing in the streets. And then the second day we went to the Riverwalk, and like all you heard was like kids laughing. And I was like, this is like the happiest town. I'm sure there's plenty of shitty stuff about it.
The Riverwalk was amazing though.
So
it was
pleasant. It just had a really pleasant atmosphere.
Yeah. I agree. And it was just like, it felt nice. The weather was gorgeous.
It was
helped.
really nice that day.
It wasn't like the humidity was kind of low. It was like mid 70s. But the Riverwalk was really nice. It has this like fancy bridge that was there when I was there like 8 years ago. But I don't remember the rest of it being that built up. There was like galleries and restaurants and just like all these grassy areas.
4 crystal shops. If you need crystals in your life, Greenville is the place to go. I mean, there were literally on the same street. There were 4 of them.
Yeah.
It is a lot of crystals.
Crystal/gem.
Yeah, crystal/gem. But like, some of them leaned a little bit more hippie and sort of had the patchouli scent. Some of them leaned a little bit more like fancy, but they were all like pretty centered around like, here are some shiny rocks you can buy.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. The what are the other places? Like, what other places would you go back to? I would go back to Knoxville because it was reasonably close. I think that'd be a nice fun weekend.
And we were just kind of in and out, and I feel like there's a lot more to see there. I would like to go back once the Secret City stuff is actually open, so we could do like Manhattan Project kind of tourism. And we talked about that in the planning one, how we, were thinking about going to this place and then discovered none of it was open because of COVID. Pardon our cat while he makes snarking noises underneath the table here.
They probably can't hear it, but they're going to be able to hear the rain more than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that on that. I don't know. Like, again, I look forward to going back to West Virginia sooner than later. I really liked Roanoke.
Yeah, so did I. Roanoke also had a really good energy to it.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this. It just seemed kind of younger than we expected.
Definitely. Considering there's not, Greenville has some big universities. Like, obviously Columbus has a big university. Cincinnati has big universities. Knoxville has big universities. So, like, all of those towns, Morgantown, all of those towns, it makes sense that there's a younger population. But I think Roanoke is, like, smaller schools kind of scattered around. It's not. And so I wasn't expecting quite as many young folks as there were.
And but it was kind of funny, like going back to Columbus. I always we used to live in Ohio, Northwest Ohio. We used to go to Columbus on a semi-regular basis, just to like get some ice cream at Jenny's and
just get away from our tiny town. Yeah.
And when we lived in Ohio, I would have really been excited to live in Columbus versus Toledo and Bowling Green. But going back, like I think there were kind of some other places that are nearby that I would maybe be more likely to go to Cincinnati.
To live in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's really nice too. And I think Cincinnati has changed a lot since the first time we were there. So has Columbus, actually.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I liked about Columbus when I was there for our conference 4 years ago was that they had added so much public transit. And of course we didn't really take advantage of it this time.
Right.
Because we had the car and, I wasn't really too worried about COVID again because the vaccine seemed to be working so well. But yeah, it just wasn't something that we took advantage of. We did take advantage of taking our picture with Arnold Schwarzenegger, though.
Yes, that's true.
A statue of Arnold Schwarzenegger, not the actual human being.
Almost as good. Maybe
almost
not.
As good. I mean,
I'm sure he's actually a perfectly nice person.
A little more bulgy than he probably is these days.
And only you got your picture with him.
That's true. That's true.
Also, Cincinnati, we had an expert guide.
That's true.
Our friend drove us around a bunch of places. We went to cool little market, but we'll get into some of the stuff. We've got our list.
Right, we do have our list. Yeah, so we've kind of rambled at you about things we liked, about cities we liked.
Yeah.
But like I said, we did have a scorecard that we were keeping track of, and so we thought we would hit those elements on the scorecard and tell you what were the highlights and the lowlights.
Yeah. Where do we want to start on this, or should we start in the next break?
Let's take a break and then we can pick back up.
All right, so we've got this list. On the list, we were keeping track, and if you check us out on Instagram, we're rainedin_podcast. Check us out on Facebook, we're rainedin-podcast. And you're listening to us now, but obviously you can find us as Rainedin Matt and Rachel on any of your favorite
podcast
platforms. We'd appreciate it if you go ahead and like and subscribe.
Yep.
Definitely let us know what you think of this crap, too. If it's worth us chatting. Thanks to those who have been reaching out, but we're always looking for
it's worth us chatting
ways we can improve things. But anyway, so we've got this list, and you can see the list, and you can see a ton of pictures that we posted to those. And but generally speaking, we've got some things on here. We've got comic shops, bookshops, public markets, which we sort of added halfway through the trip.
Right. We weren't expecting to go to as many as we did, but then all of a sudden we'd been to a bunch.
Yeah, and we kind of split some things out from some other ones. We had sort of dirt mall flea markets.
That's different than a public market.
Right. We'll get to that in a minute as well. And then we had breweries, cideries, distilleries, wineries as a category. So like boozeries.
Boozeries.
And then the biggest one was random attractions.
So we're actually going to start not at the biggest one. We're going to start, actually the smallest one was Scenic Overlooks, but you've just heard us talk about that. So now we're going to move on to talking a little bit about bookstores and comic shops, because those were kind of also in the sort of...
we didn't quite hit as many as I maybe expected.
I don't think we hit as many bookstores as I expected. We probably could have hit a couple more comic stores, but you were like, whoa, I've got enough. So... I was expecting to maybe run across more bookstores than we did, but, it might have just been, sort of like where we were staying in some places. I'm sure I could have found one in Roanoke, but we didn't really look for one.
Well, that's what I was going to say. A lot of these things, the random attractions, we by and large did search for those. So we had things to stop at and sort of like bucket lists to check off. But most of the other ones, and I did actually look for comic shops in some of those places, but a lot of them were just kind of like as it would come up. Like we would be in the town and we'd look. I think bookstores, the bookstores and the dirt mall flea markets were the two biggest ones that we put the least amount of effort into looking.
Yeah, I mean bookstores, it was just did we walk by one?
Right.
And that if we did, we went in. So which was fine. Like I can take a picture of like my unread book stack and put it on Instagram if you want.
I think that's part of it too.
I have plenty of books. Although I will say I did very good, and I bought books for my summer book club, not just rando books. And
I would say one of the coolest things we got. You were just going to say I just cut you off.
No, it's fine. So I made my purchases a little bit more focused. Although, were you going to talk about the blind date?
Yeah.
Books? Okay.
Yeah, because I thought, I was just going to say that was one of the highlights.
Also in Greenville.
Right, in Greenville. I don't remember the name of the bookstore. It's a big bookstore in an old bank.
Yeah. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
Yeah. So this place was nice. They had a little coffee shop. We thought there was going to be some more food there than there was. But the bookstore, it was like most good modern independent bookstores are, which
we went to a brewery there on the way out that day.
Did we? Oh, you're right. That's the one we're missing. At least one of them we're missing.
Yep. Anyway, sorry.
So, but it's where there's not a huge...
M. Judson was the name of it. And it's downtown on Main Street. 130 South Main Street, in fact. So.
But it was big enough that there was a good selection of stuff, but it was just it felt like a very well curated selection of stuff.
I'll say that actually about all three of the ones that we went to. They did have like really nice selections because none of them were super big.
And like they do a thing that, again, most good independent bookstores do is they've got like little notes from the staff about like sort of why they liked certain books or why certain books are popular. Just kind of help out on some of those things. It just looked cool. But the most interesting part about it, and it was sort of tucked in the back, and I just sort of happened to find it, was a big, like it was in a hallway that had a bookshelf, like a flat bookshelf with all these books wrapped in brown paper bags.
Right. Well, just brown paper. And so it had a little, like, very loose summary of the book on the front. And then if you flipped it over, it had, like, the price on the back. But, yeah, you didn't know what book you were buying. It was a blind date book. So you just picked it out based on this very loose summary and decided that you were going to take a risk and take a surprise.
And
get a surprise.
You picked one that was like checking off all your, like...
So many of my boxes.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit sci-fi, a little bit fantasy. Like if Wes Anderson directed a sci-fi movie, it would be like this.
Yeah.
And so...
And you thought it was a different book than what it ended up being.
I was hoping it would be This Is How You Lose the Time War. But it ended up being... All the Birds in the Sky. I don't remember who's the first one's by, I'm sorry, but All the Birds in the Sky is by Charlie Jane Anders. And they are, I think, kind of well-known / up-and-coming sci-fi author because they have like 2 books.
But you hadn't read it.
Maybe they have more than 2 books, sorry, but 2 books that I know of. I have not read it, but I was looking forward to reading it, so so I was excited that that's what I ended up with.
Yeah, maybe I should pick that one up after this book that I'm not reading currently.
I mean, you say that you're not reading, but you've read so many comics.
Yeah.
So
good transition.
Oh, yeah.
So we stopped at a bunch of comic shops.
And bought so many comics.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was part of the thing is the first day in Knoxville we went to it was mostly a, what's the name of the?
Funko.
Like, what, doll figurine thing store. But they also had a comic selection that was like a good selection of new stuff. They had a little bit of older stuff. I think I bought like 20 comics there on day one. And then best part, if you run a comic shop, I know margins are tight, but every one of my favorite comic shops that I've shopped at in the last 10 years, 15 years, they bag and board their freaking comics. I know it takes extra time, it takes a little bit of money, but it is just such a nice value add, I think, right? And so, and then also the one in Knoxville, they had like, everything was like 20% off or something too.
It was the day that we were there, yeah.
Or maybe it was everything.
But, I mean, I don't know if it's always like that or if it was like for Memorial Day or if it was just like, we're not going to sell comics anymore. Let's get them out of here. I don't know what it was.
I don't think that was the case.
No, I don't think so either.
But when you're on a road trip, it's awfully nice to have your comics bagged and boarded because then I felt comfortable. We just had them stuck in the trunk or in the hatch, like wedged against the sidewall, which is flat. So like I didn't worry about them the whole trip. And then we had 2 comic shops in Morgantown, West Virginia, both very nice comic shops in their own way. Very extremely friendly cat. We talked about this in one of them.
Right. And really good game selection at the second one. And
the most interesting, this is the most interesting comic shop I've been at probably since the 80s. It was in a dirt mall flea market in Elkin, North Carolina, and it was bonkers.
It was so crazy. It just, like, I just had the hardest time figuring out, like, how anyone could be sitting behind the counter and not, like, trying to organize things. I was like, what are you... I mean, you could sit and just kind of sit, or...
I think you had a TV behind the counter.
You could be, like, an incredibly anal organizer like me and, like, sort through these 1,000 comics that are just in stacks.
Yeah. So they had, for anybody who's shopped at comic shops, they had something that was similar to what you'd normally see, sort of like tables that had sort of like wooden shelving bins that then had long boxes in them. It was kind of nice. They had some drawers underneath them that had more long boxes. So sometimes comic shops will stick long boxes or short boxes underneath other shelves, and they just get beat up, and they had
that too, though.
Well, so they had some of that, but the ones that were in the drawers, you could pull it out and you could look at another 6 long boxes without having to lug a box around. Right. And so it was a pretty nice setup. That makes it sound like it had some sort of organization.
It did not.
The stuff that were in the bins and the long boxes, generally organized-ish, kind of generally grouped by alphabetic-ish.
Right.
But there were probably a third again as many comics, if not half again, as just loosely stacked, not bagged or boarded, on the floor, on top of the other comics, just
in the corners, around,
leaning everywhere.
It was crazy.
Yeah. There were just also bins of old comic book related toys. It was also the size of a small bedroom.
Yeah, it was tight. And then there was a record area that was actually bigger, but was equally as organized.
We do have some pictures of both of these in the thing. It also kind of smelled a little gross. And
we were wearing masks, so
we were happy to have masks on.
Yeah, and that was one of the places that required masks, and I was not sad about that.
No. So it was fun. We spent much more time there than I intended to. I bought a bunch of comics there as well.
We were there for over an hour.
Yeah.
But
so I got some gems. I got the original Dark Crystal miniseries from the 80s. That was kind of fun.
You got me a couple Martha Washingtons, which I don't know if they were a great deal or not, but
yeah, no, I mean, it was
those were boarded.
None of it was amazing. Those are actually a couple things that were actually, most of the comics I bought had at least bagged,
right?
Because I only looked at the things that were sort of organized, but it was pretty fun. Anyways, that's probably enough about comic shops because we got a bunch of things to talk about.
Yeah, so bookstores, comic shops, 3 bookstores, 4 comic shops.
Yeah,
could have hit more comic shops. But we didn't need more comics.
No.
So
yeah, I did accidentally rebuy. I think only one. I thought it was 2, because I was buying a bunch of new things as well. But the other thing, kind of somewhat related to that, right? We got markets, generally public markets and flea markets.
Right.
Which one do you want to hit first?
Let's do flea markets because that'll be pretty quick.
Give me your thoughts.
So best flea market was the one in Zanesville, which was also a good half crystal store, but then also kind of flea market-y. That one was just obviously run by sort of well-meaning hippies. It was full of weird shit, some of it old, some of it new, a bunch of rocks, random collections of things. So I liked that place. It was kind of surprising, just downtown Zanesville. Downtown Zanesville is not a happening place.
No. But we stopped through, I'm not going to talk about what else we did in Zanesville till later.
Nope.
No, we'll talk about it here, because it's probably not going to make our top list.
Oh, right.
The whole reason we stopped in Zanesville was Vasehenge.
Uh-huh. Zanesville used to be a big pottery town, and actually we could have stopped at some pottery places, but we didn't.
I know, I kind of regret it a little bit, but...
Yeah. Well, next time.
Next time we go through Zanesville.
If we go in between Morgantown and Cincinnati ever again,
that's true.
You drive through it, so and we will have friends in those places for a while. But yeah, so we stopped to look at Vasehenge, which celebrates the pottery heritage of Zanesville, although the vases are made out of paper mache.
Yeah, it looked like it.
I mean, not quite paper mache,
plaster.
Plaster. Thank you. That's what it is.
And they're what? 5 foot tall, 6 foot tall.
They're probably 6 foot tall. I think they were a little bit taller than me.
A little taller than us, yeah. Just in a ring.
Uh-huh.
And it's right on this little field right next to this other interesting thing,
which is a Y-shaped bridge.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been on a Y-shaped bridge. So there's a
just
stoplight in the middle of the bridge.
Yeah, and then you can
it's
split.
a Y. Yeah.
So
it was kind of fun.
So we were there for that. We drove across the Y-shaped bridge, found the downtown we're like, okay, there's a couple of antique malls. We'll go to those. And one of them was closed, and then the other one was. So anyway, that one ended up being my favorite antique mall.
Yeah.
Of the ones that we went
to.
The
dud.
I mean, the problematic one was in Wheeling, West Virginia, which actually had more going on than Zanesville. And I didn't see this until like the very end, after we had already walked around the entire place. But like as soon as you opened the door and walked in, there was like a bunch of like Nazi memorabilia, and I was like, how did I miss this? And B, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we didn't go to as many like dirt mall flea markets as I kind of expected. Part of this is in Ohio, we used to drive by a couple really big ones, and we actually drove by a really big one in Georgia. But it was closed. Yeah, because we came back on a Monday, and they're only open on the weekend. Right. That's definitely going to be like a Saturday or Sunday trip to just head up there. So I was looking for something like kind of like one of those big crappy highway side ones, roadside ones. For those of you who are from Denver, Mile High Flea Market. Oh, yeah. But COVID times, a couple of them were closed. Days of the week they were closed. Not a big deal. That was more just going to be to break stuff up. Yeah. But the public markets were kind of a lot more fun. Yeah, the public markets were cool. So I think like my original sense of what these are sort of like comes from Columbus's North Market, which has always been a really nice. I do compare all markets to North Market. Yeah, I think because it's the first one we went to, and I think public markets of that sort are more common on the East Coast than they are out west. Like it wasn't really a thing. So when we moved to Ohio and we went to the North Market, it's got a good combination of just like food stalls, so you can buy fresh pasta or you can buy, produce, but there's also restaurant stalls, and then that's where the original Jenny's ice cream is from. So sadly, my stomach was really upset the whole time we were in Columbus, so I did not get any Jenny's. No, we have Jenny's here in Atlanta, fortunately. Right. But we also, as you could tell, I listened back to a bit of the part one of this series, not the planning, but part one. And I, in particular, sound so tired. And that was in Columbus, right? Columbus, yeah. We had lived life to its fullest while we were in Cincinnati. For sure. Yeah. And I think I just hadn't, I think I said this in that one. Like I hadn't eaten in restaurants or anything for more than one day a week in over a year. So it was just like my body was like, what is all this food? What's going on? So public markets though, North Market we went to, we got some of the best strawberries ever. They were so good. They were $10, but I don't care. They were like bright red, absolutely worth it. Entirely through the strawberry. You cut them open. There was no white in the middle. Yeah. Oh, they were good. So, so we had we still had a good experience at North Market, even if we didn't get our Jenny's. We also bought artisan soy sauce because we were just impulse buying stuff while we were waiting for the person to come. We have 70,000 kinds of honey in the basement too, just by the way. Do we? Where do they keep coming 4. From? Okay. Anyway, I use it for kombucha. Yeah. So we'll get through it. Yeah. But we have a couple of fun flavors in the basement. I mean, one of them's blueberry bushes, and one of them is whatever. Really? Jeez, I don't even remember buying those. That's from North Georgia at some point. So, North Market is the OG of markets. But we found a bunch of these other, they're just indoor places, right, with a bunch of different stalls selling everything from, one of them was more of an artist's market that we went to. One of them was more of a, meat. There's so much meat inside that one in Cincinnati. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the Findlay Market, right? Or Findlay Market? Yeah. That was fun because it was a bunch of awesome graffiti all around it. That meat sandwich thing might have been what threw me over the edge. Oh, it was amazing, but good golly. It was I think we talked about 14 layers of meat and cheese with Velveeta, Velveeta in the middle, which was just really, really good. You'd think that a center layer of Velveeta sounds terrible, but trust me, it was awesome. If anyone listening is familiar with the old Simpsons gag when the town is trying to poison Homer, who's a food critic, and this evil French chef makes this eclair that has 27 pounds of butter. I don't know, it's not 27, but whatever, an insane amount of that, and chocolate's so dark that light is unable to escape it. This was the sandwich version of that. That thing, it weighed a pound, and it was not very big.
It was like an inch and a half thick, maybe, and probably like 7 inches long, and it weighed over a pound.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Yeah. It was good.
Really good, but it definitely threw me
So
over
that one
the
was
edge.
fun around there. The other one that we talked about this a little bit, so I won't talk about it too much more. Listen to the other podcasts. But the Jungle Gyms was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to multiple people about that.
Jungle Gyms is a crazy grocery store, and you should go back and listen to like the first half of the road trip to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a wacky place.
So that's markets. We got to keep moving. We're long on this one. This is the wrap-up episode, I suppose.
So thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah.
The last one was pretty short because we had dinner reservations, so we had to scooch.
True.
So
breweries? Boozeries.
So we hit 10 boozeries, so we're obviously not going to try to walk you through all of them.
We totally can't remember one of them.
But a highlight for me was actually the very first one that we stopped at, which was Wise Owl Cidery in Lexington. They had some really great ciders, as one would hope for a cidery. It was a nice, like, sort of open, chill space. They had ciders made with a lot of different types of apples, and it said what types of apples they were.
Yeah.
And so that was cool.
That was fun. It was also just a nice space.
Yeah. And I mean, we had a really hot walk on the way there, so I think we were just like relieved, like sit down, have something cool to drink.
That was also the first time we played Castles of Burgundy on the trip,
yeah.
which is our travel
go-to travel game. We're going to buy a copy of that for the tiny house. Just have it
Just
there.
leave it there.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati, solid.
Yeah, Cincinnati has some great breweries. I mean, Rheingeist is the one that is distributed the widest. So if you're in Ohio or Kentucky or Tennessee, I know they distribute in all of those states. They don't in Georgia, but I think you can get it kind of in a region. It's got sort of like a skull-looking logo, but their beer is really solid. Like,
yeah,
I don't know that I've had anything of theirs that I really was like, eugh, you know?
Right. Yeah, because we were there. We had a bunch of smaller beers. Well, we had some normal beers too, I suppose. Actually, those were all normal beers we had. We had a few between all of us. We were trying them.
We had like half pours. We had half pours, yeah. So we didn't get a flight, but we got a series of half pours.
And especially as we continue to get out of COVID times, fingers crossed, the one that's over the Rhine, which I'm guessing is where Rheingeist gets the name from, is a great location. There's like a really interesting industrial inside space. Like, when I say cathedral ceilings, it reminds me of the Tintern Abbey and was that in Wales, Tintern Abbey?
Yeah.
And it was just massive ceilings, like 20 foot tall.
Yeah.
And it was just felt nice, and it was really wide open. They were really good about keeping people separated during these times, so it felt plenty safe. But they have an awesome rooftop. It just happened to be killer hot. And then the other cool one, we talked about this a little bit before too, was Brink.
Brink was really nice. It's really small, but it was right in our friend's neighborhood, and
it's called like College Hill.
Yeah. And their beer was just really solid. We did do flights there. Right.
Greenville, when we eventually go back to Greenville, maybe sometime before 8 years from now.
Yeah, definitely.
They had a bunch of breweries there. We went to one that was pretty good. It wasn't Yazoo. That's
no, Yazoo's in Nashville.
It was like Yeehaw or something like that.
Yeehaw, yep.
And it was good. We had some overly hot chicken.
We did. That we then brought home the leftovers and made hot chicken salads the next day.
Yeah,
and that was a good choice.
But there was another one right next, like a block away.
A block away from
really
our
good
hotel,
ratings,
yeah.
But
I don't remember what it was called. But we only had time to go to
but I think
one.
You could get a good thing there. So those were pretty fun, I would say. We went to a really bad winery in Roanoke.
Yeah, well hung.
You basically know if a business, especially an alcohol-related business, relies too heavily on puns.
On sex puns.
Well, sex puns, that's like the extra high. You know, like if they rely too heavily on puns, you should be suspect. And then if it's too many...
And everything is a sex pun.
Yeah.
God, I would just be embarrassed to work there. Be like, here's your one night stand.
I appreciated our waiter, though, right? So we mostly stopped because we needed a little bit of a break. It was raining, and it was there, and we were just like, let's stop for a minute. And we were also trying to keep our checklist going.
Right. But we were going to get a flight, and then the guy was just sort of like, you're probably not going to like the wines here that much. I mean, he didn't say it in that way.
No, but he was like, do you generally drink sweet or dry wines? And we're like, oh, definitely dry. And he was like, okay, I would steer you away from all of these.
Yeah, I would not get a flight because you're not going to like half of them. And I was like, cool. So
we had one. It was fine.
It was decidedly fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was oof.
Yeah.
Well hung.
All right, we're gonna forge on through. Normally we would take another break here, but
yeah, it's starting to rain, and I'm sure you guys can hear a little bit of background noise, and I got to make dinner. So,
but we got our attractions, the last one.
Attractions. So that was by no means all 10 of the places we stopped, but those are our high and low lights.
Yeah. So we've talked about some of the attractions already. We had 17.5 of them.
Right. The 0.5 was one that we drove by. You could see it from the highway.
What was your highlight of the attractions that we haven't talked about so far?
I mean, we talked about falling water in the other episode, so like I'm not going to revisit that. And that's
I do want to revisit that, but
yeah, I mean, but I'm not going to like tell you about it again necessarily. And that's hardly. I mean, it is a tourist attraction, but it's not the same kind of roadside attraction as the Don Knotts statue. So I don't think. While I loved it, I don't think it really qualifies as my favorite roadside attraction. Right. Because that seems a little bit unfair.
Well, we were saying random attractions.
Random attractions. Roadside. You're right, random attractions.
We actually bought tickets for that like a month and a half in advance.
Right, yeah. So, and it was something
hardly random.
That needed tickets, right?
Yeah.
It was the closest to a museum that we did. Well, except for the Flatwoods Monster Museum. But
Glass Museum.
Oh, Glass Museum. So of random attractions, actually Glass Museum is kind of a highlight. It featured glass primarily from Ohio, West Virginia, like that local area. So it wasn't like a bunch of European glass or anything. It was all local. West Virginia was a big glass producing place because all the natural gas, you could keep the forges
and
going.
Sand. They also said too. It reminds me of Toledo. Very similar story with some of that. Yeah,
because Toledo also. I mean, there was Findlay at least had gas, so like there were also gas wells in the Toledo area. So I really enjoyed the Glass Museum. It was unexpectedly like kind of well organized and also just like overwhelming with how much there was. And we bought a really cute little vase that's now in a display cabinet at our house. So yeah, I think that was one of the highlights of random attractions for me.
We also bought like an owl vase, which I'm sure they must have more than one, an owl picture. But on the outside, again, you can see the picture of this. Although, no, we didn't take a picture of the owl. But on the outside of the building was this huge mural with some selection of stuff from the place. And we bought this owl picture for some friends, and we were leaving, and the owl picture was painted on the side of the building, like 20 feet tall.
It was cool. Just a coincidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, how about you? Highlight of random attractions?
Probably, I'm looking here. Oops, sorry, we got our list. Don Knotts was fun. I was a little disappointed that we couldn't ride the personal rapid transit system, the PRT in
that would
West
have been
Virginia.
A highlight if we could have ridden it.
I'm glad I saw it. I might say the Pinball Museum in Roanoke. That was a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, that was really fun.
You paid like you bought the tickets? It was like $12. $12.50. You got 2 hours unlimited play, and they had stuff from like the 40s up through today. And since Rachel and I are both terrible at pinball, like it didn't matter if you just lost right away.
Yeah,
you just moved on to the next one, or you gave it another try.
Yeah, it was super fun. I would definitely, if you're in Roanoke, like, look them up. Pay your $12.50. It's so worth it.
They're supposedly working on one here in Atlanta, but I think it all got postponed as a result of this stuff.
It'll be more expensive than $12.50.
Oh, I'm sure, but hopefully it'll be worth it because it was a ton of fun. Yeah. I really liked the old ones. I liked the I like the crappy bing bang noises.
1950s, 1960s ones.
Yeah.
That were
a lot of them had a magnet underneath the front, so the ball does weird things. That was kind of fun. Yeah,
it was. I don't know. That was a highlight too. Definitely.
Those were especially fun to play free.
Yeah.
I think because they were like, I almost got high enough score to win some prize. I'm terrible at pinball, let me tell you. I played that game again another like 20 times, and I never got like a quarter that high. Sometimes I got a little closer, but it was like because it was so random. Sometimes it was just like
straight
gone.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was a ton of fun. What about the least? Oh, we also Cocaine Bear. We've talked about it a couple times, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Cocaine Bear T-shirt actually right now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So yeah,
I've got a Cocaine Bear costume in my online shopping cart right now for Dragon Con.
We'll take some pictures of us as Cocaine Bear and Mothman Georgia.
But what do you think about most disappointing?
Most disappointing was definitely Flatwoods Monster Museum.
Yeah, it was so weird, but
it was. It just needed to be more museum-y, or more exhibit-y.
A friend was asking like what we thought about the story, and it was like we were in the Flatwoods Monster Museum, and I don't know if I necessarily know the story. Like there was the original news article, which I guess is the story, but then there was like a 40-page book.
Yeah,
that was like. And there was a video playing that I think was maybe a Dadaist, surrealist film.
So if you're a person who works at a university that has a museum studies program, I think like that would be a solid internship for somebody. Just go and make this into an actual museum.
Or make your own cryptid museum. I'm considering we should just move to some small town, get a storefront that's not open.
Cedar Ridge, Colorado.
Maybe that's the retirement plan.
Yeah.
All right. We'll have to find a cryptid.
I'm sure there's a Colorado cryptid, or two, or we'll just make some shit up, whatever.
Right, but that was because the Flatwoods Monster Museum was also the whatever little town this was visitor center.
Right, and it was also like the museum, or not the museum, the like center for their film festival that they do.
Yeah.
I mean, there was not anything in this town besides, I don't think I saw anything else.
Almost everything else was closed.
Yeah.
Like boarded up closed.
Right. So, it had to pull a few different duties.
I'm glad we stopped. We couldn't really buy anything because nobody was there. That was the other weird thing.
I would have bought a weird t-shirt.
Or something.
Yeah.
Also, I would say probably, unless I don't know how much they would make, just stock koozies because those are nice, easy, like few dollar things for people to buy.
Heck yeah. We have a significant koozie collection at this point. And I will tell you, koozies are something that you always want when you're traveling.
So you said Flatwoods was your dud.
Flatwoods was my dud, yeah.
Did I have a dud?
Like...
Tiny Graceland and
it was okay.
Tiny Graceland was a little bit anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's just someone built Tiny Graceland and then someone bought the house that Tiny Graceland exists on, and they don't really keep it up. So
you just drive in this little quiet neighborhood, and it happens to be on the side of the road
yard. Yeah. So that's also a little bit weird because you don't want to just truck around someone's front yard. So we just kind of stood next to it and took pictures.
I think the most random thing we saw was the oldest metal bridge in Virginia.
Yeah,
which is a bowstring bridge. Yeah, it's been relocated a couple times.
It was at a rest stop, so that's a good place for it to be. Mm-hmm. Relocated to, so you can check it out and walk across it. Did we walk across it?
We didn't.
We just looked at it.
Yeah.
Took pictures of it. We didn't actually walk on it. That's really funny.
And I think that probably wraps up the podcast too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's
it does.
The whole road trip is like, did you do that thing? No, we didn't realize.
I didn't. Yep. And it really was sort of like, take a picture of the Grand Canyon. Okay, kids, we're going. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
hey, last shout out here. Subscribe, check us out on those other places we mentioned earlier. But the bigger question to our audience, Rachel is indifferent on this whole thing, I think. I'm looking for a closing tagline. Mm-hmm. Rick Steves has his Keep On Traveling, which we've stolen a couple times. The weirdest, handsomest coffee snob on the internet, James Hoffman, has his what is it? It's
thank you for watching.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
He says it very you always feel calm when you leave his episodes.
That's true.
We're looking for a closing line. What should it be?
Yeah. Give us suggestions, please.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for listening.
Yep.
Let us know about your road trips that you had or the travel you're doing coming up now that if you're in a place where you can travel a little
Right.
bit. Definitely sending best wishes out to everybody in international countries who are still working on getting those vaccinations, and good health.
Yep. Stay safe.
You can check us out at anchor.fm/rainitin. That's spelled REINITIN, all one word, no spaces, and you can leave us a message there. You can also follow us at Instagram at rainitin_podcast, or email us at rainitin@ssdpress.org, also spelled REINITIN at ssdpress.org. Thanks again to all of our friends and family for all the support and for putting up with this. Have a great day.